when it comes to Wallace and Gromit, A Vengeance Most Fowl, I'm going to be 100% honest with you and say this is my favourite film of 2024 for so many reasons. Firstly, the animation was just beautiful to look at, looked brilliant as ever, so smooth, and I love the camera angles we get. They take a bit of adventurous, creative takes, and I just like that there's so much attention to the background. Something that most animators do, but I feel like they do it a step further, especially when it came to referencing so much from their hometown. I really love the story as well, seeing them add great returning villains like Feathers McGraw, who decides to get revenge on Wallace and turn the townspeople against him, and using his own technology to ruin his reputation. The film is hilarious. We get all sorts of characters being hilarious, but for me, my favourite was Peter Kay voicing the character of Chief Inspector McIntosh, who every time he appeared on screen made me laugh like a madman. I also would just like to say that Feathers McGraw is also hysterical. Now when it comes to this film, there are particular metaphors that I saw, possibly from the creators or possibly just me looking too deep. But what I loved is there's a scene where Gromit is going out to garden and we could really see he's happy about it, only for it to be ruined by Wallace introducing his new invention, that being Norbot, who decides to take on the gardening and really does a quick job of it. But at the same time, the result, whilst very quick, kind of looks a bit bland. And for me personally, I saw this as a metaphor, or at least two metaphors at the same time. The first one being a representation of animation. We see Gromit, he's ready to get his hands dirty, he knows he's in for the long haul, but he looks excited for it, and that is him being a representation of old style animation, the animation that Wallace and Gromit are known for, that being stop motion. And then when Wallace introduces Norbot, that is the representation of modern animation or AI, and we see that yes, it does the job very quick. No one is denying that. It just doesn't look the greatest. I see that as them saying, yes, modern animation is quick, but you're not going to get the great, beautiful job that we do. Yes, ours is going to take ages, but you're going to get a great result out of it. What's this? It looks like it was done in 5 minutes. The other metaphor is about technology. We see Gromit, he's going to be using the basic essentials to do his gardening, but at the end of the day it is manual hard labour. He is in for it. We then see Norbot, who is a robot, and this is just talking about technology, who will again do it quick, but it doesn't look great and it loses the human touch. And I wonder if this is also a representation on robots in general, and how yes, they are great and handy, but at the end of the day we will lose the human touch because of it, and robots we should also be scared of or fearful because they will be taking away jobs from people, and also, as we see later in the film, can be easily corrupted and would possibly harm others around them. In this film, I noticed Wallace shows a lot of neurodivergent symptoms. For example, he's not the greatest when it comes to emotions, especially noticing emotions, like Gromit, for example, who has a lot of distrust towards Norbot, and we as an audience notice it, but Wallace doesn't. We also see he's very routine fixated, to the point that he has to get Gromit to start off his routine. He's very adamant about getting Gromit to help him out. We see him in the very early morning buzzing, and so we see he's very obsessed with doing this daily routine. It's very important to him, and when it gets changed, he is not the greatest at adapting or even attempting to adapt. He's not good at all with change. One could look at some of these particular scenes and just think Wallace is selfish, but I genuinely believe there's no ill will when it comes to Wallace. He just really doesn't notice emotions because he is neurodivergent. He's so fixated on his technology that everything around him is somewhat second or lesser to what he is up to at the moment. He's so technology obsessed that everything around him is noise, essentially, or white noise that he doesn't notice. There's a scene where Norbot is spraying on the brand and it says Wallace and Norbot. Most people go, oh look, he doesn't even care, it doesn't say Gromit. He's just so fascinated that this robot is spraying and has the logo already. He doesn't think with emotions, at least that's how I perceived it. It's not selfishness, it's just he's amazed by it to the point that he's not really thinking of everything else. Now when it came to the ending of this film, I'll be honest and say it was fantastic. I love that they tried to outdo the original chase scene and did a remarkable job of it. And I really loved that it was not only just a really cool chase sequence, but there's also a bit of emotion to it as well between Wallace and Gromit. I thought it was a really nice touch. And then at the end of the film we see Wallace realising that whilst he loves to create and use technology, that not everything in his life needs to be so technological, and that a simple patting the dog can be done by him. Not every interaction or thing needs to have a technological advance, and it's nice to know that he realises this. Now when it comes to criticisms of this film, I really only have two. Now, we've seen this pair for 20 or so years. Wallace is a great inventor, but what really bothers me about it is out of these 20 years throughout, he's never thought, we get into these situations a lot, Gromit. Do you know what? You're really ahead of it than I am. I'm going to make you a chip or a technological advancement where you could bark or a facial recognition, and your looks and transmissions, emotions will translate into words, something like that. So if he barks and thinks, oh that's bad, Wallace can translate that and goes, okay, he's saying I shouldn't trust blah blah blah. Like, you're an inventor, how do you not think of that? Obviously it would make the film way too easy, but at the same time it's like, really? You don't think of that? My second criticism is towards a big plot point during the second to third act of the film, as there's a diamond in a teapot that they never discovered for 30 years. I just find this very hard to believe, as surely during all these shenanigans they went through, there must have been some damage to the property that would have revealed this. They could have gotten rid of the teapot after realising they'd not been using it for quite some time. Or they must have used it some point during these 20 years, like no blackouts where they live to the point that, oh, they can't use a regular kettle, they gotta use this. Or something like that. To me it just feels very unbelievable that they would not notice or find this diamond, but that's just me. Overall, I really did enjoy this movie for all those reasons I said, but also this year we've had some unnecessary sequels and really pointless remakes, and I just see this as a flower in a nuclear war. So beautiful compared to what we got, and it's just nice that not only was it a great sequel and did justice to the original, but it just expanded upon the franchise and just made the franchise even better with this added to it. Overall, is this good? No, it's great. Rating wise, I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. Honestly, it's beautiful to watch. Would I re-watch it? Honestly, yes, 100% I would. Not only because of the fact of all of the stuff I've said, but I bet there's so many Easter eggs and references to the original Wallace and Gromit movies, which, I will be honest, it's been some time since I've seen them, so I bet if I went and watched not only just this, but watched those, there'd be so many references that I would understand from watching this again and watching those again, which, yeah. Now, when it comes to recommendations, firstly, Aardman Studios are great, I love them, but at the same time I mainly just love their Wallace and Gromit stuff. Chicken Run, you have to give respect to that. But yeah, I would definitely recommend all of the Wallace and Gromit stuff, but Aardman Studios are definitely one to pay attention to. Secondly is Nick Park, who is part of Aardman Studios, made an animation for an episode of The Simpsons called Angry Dad the Movie. In there it's a spoof of Wallace and Gromit. Not only is it hilarious and just a little nice cool thing to watch, seeing them mock their own stuff, but at the same time what I really loved is if you watch that, there's slight reference to this. It's as if the creators of the new Wallace and Gromit saw what they did in The Simpsons and thought, actually, and they expanded upon it much much better. Another stop motion animated show I would recommend is Glenn Martin DDS. It's hysterical. I will admit it's not the easiest to find. Do apologise if you want to look for it, but at the same time I do recommend trying. It's very funny. I remember watching a few episodes and in love, honestly. It's an adult orientated animated show. Yeah, it's somewhat more for adults than children, but yeah, I definitely recommend it. Moving away from animation for a sec, if you enjoyed Peter Kay's performance in this, I 100% recommend looking at Phoenix Nights. It's hysterical. It's probably one of the better sitcoms of the early 2000s, especially for Channel 4, who has a great selection. And yeah, I just think you should watch it. It's really funny. And then moving back to animations, my last one is MTV's Celebrity Deathmatch. Now this one, sad to say, is going to be more difficult to find than, say, Glenn Martin DDS, but at the same time, if you can find stuff on YouTube, go for it. I love the animation style. It's nice just to see celebrities battle it out, and there is going to be some references which, depending on your age, may not get, which 100% I understand, but I still think you should try and watch it if you can, if you appreciate the art form and animation style. Those are my recommendations. This has been my review for Wallace and Gromit: A Vengeance Most Fowl. Thank you for watching. If you have enjoyed, please like and subscribe, but most importantly, thank you and have a nice day.